There we go. All our ducks are now in a row. Good evening, everyone. Super happy to be just stopped and sitting down with my people. I love it. Very
Yep.
my good vibe tribe.
Uh-huh.
So everybody who is joining us, a good day. Happy Wednesday. Have a wacky Wednesday today. And we're thrilled to be here with you. Okay, Tom, pop quiz. Swimming
Yeah.
pool or beach? We're playing that game again.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna tell you swimming pool.
Okay.
When I was a little kid, I stepped on a broken beer bottle at Wasaga Beach in Ontario,
Okay.
and I thought something bit me and I freaked out. So if I go swimming in a lake or an ocean, I wear shoes.
There I would also say swimming pool because even though I know TV and movies are just TV and movies, I think I was influenced as a child by the movie Jaws and the movie Piranha. So I also go with swimming pool. Next one, fruits or vegetable?
Not a third choice. Vegetables.
There is.
Um, it depends what I'm doing. No. I'm gonna say fruits.
Okay, I'm gonna say vegetable. Interesting.
I love vegetables.
Okay.
But the reason I picked fruits,
Mhm.
they're since having stomach cancer, colon cancer. Um, Actually, you know what? No, I got to change it to vegetables. I eat more vegetables than fruit. I hardly eat any fruit, a little bit,
Yep.
but vegetables are harder for me to digest. But I like vegetables. I love arugula salad, one of my
Yeah,
favorites.
that gives you joy, right? Joy matters.
100%.
Very good.
100%.
Okay, last one for today. And I got a lot. So we'll do 3 a week. Cats or dogs?
Obviously, cats.
Obviously, cats. Very good. My heart says dogs, but my reality says cats. So, in order not to piss any cats off, we'll go with cats this time. Very good. Thank you for
It's
playing.
it's funny with those. What we're realizing more, even just like in our regular lives.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure maybe not fish, but maybe we'll throw fish in. I realize more and more as I get older that majority of the time, animals like dogs and cats are very therapeutic for us.
Yes.
And even though we don't think about it, and so my daughter, who's in Alberta, who we're going to see during spring break, she has a big old dog, and she's had lots of dogs, but her other dogs were so active. This is the biggest dog. I don't know what he is, but he just lays around. So he puts his head on her lap and she strokes it. And even my 6-year-old granddaughter, I love the independence of cat. I love the attitudes of cat. I share cat videos all the time.
Yep.
Because they pretty much almost run our households.
Oh, they do. They're not your pets. You are
No.
their pet, right?
100%. 100%.
Ours use us for food. That's right. They're just using us for food, tolerating us, I think. But the good news is that they're keeping the mice out of the house. So I remind them every once in a while. I'm like, hey, you're an employee. Chop chop. I
So
heard
you got work. Yeah. It's funny because my son has a cat. I don't remember how old. My son's 17. I think the cat is called Grim, double M at the end.
Yeah.
I do think when you name your animal certain names, they take on that personality. So
Mhm.
this Ethan just loves this cat, loved him forever, right?
Yeah.
And this cat, who would he attack 90% of the time? Jump on his legs, scratch him? Ethan.
Mm.
Ethan would be like, you've seen Elf, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Ethan
Yeah.
would be like the raccoon. Is it a raccoon, I think? And he goes, oh, someone needs a hug, and the raccoon jumps in his face.
Yep.
That's my son's cat, Grim, and Ethan.
That's
Years.
funny.
Yeah, pretty funny. So
That
anyways.
is funny. That is funny. So our dog, so just like you, I don't want to be tied down to responsibility, and I like the idea of traveling and everything. So our dog is not our dog. It's actually our grand dog. So Alec, the oldest one, lives in the basement. He brings the dog home, and it's a cane corso. Are you familiar
Yeah.
with that kind of dog?
Yeah.
Big. And so he says, I want to name him a human name. And we went through all these human names. Kevin, that's his name now. Kevin the
Love
dog.
it.
Yeah. So he's definitely part of our family. And he has one of the cats is his girlfriend. It's intermixed relationship. Kevin and Fiona. So there you
Yeah.
go. They love each other.
We'll talk about awkward animal moments another time
Yeah.
because we probably have stories. But I want to say hi. Our sister Tammy is on.
Oh,
Tammy, good to see you, my dear. And she talks about dogs. She goes, why do we do so much for dogs? They think we are gods. We do so much for cats. They think they are dogs.
uh,
It's true.
nailed it.
Um, yeah. And then Tina and then some other people are on. So we just want to thank you for being on and joining us. So we talked last week. And I had a question for you, Michelle. I should have, like, because I'm just thinking of it now and I'll forget.
Okay.
On YouTube, on the YouTube videos that we do
Yep.
you put the topic of what we're talking on them?
I do. Yes.
I've looked, but I forgot. I just thought of that because I had somebody going, "Oh, like you talked about X," and I go, "Oh, yeah, it's on there," and I didn't remember. So, okay, perfect. Thank you.
I might not have. I just updated them all, I think 2 weeks ago. So they all have the topic on there, and it won't let me share like a link to this page or anything. But I did mention if people wanted to request to join, we could.
Awesome.
Very good.
So good,
Yeah,
Michelle. Thank you for taking care of that. Michelle and I are both really busy. We're just busy people, right? And I'm getting older. She's not caught up to me yet.
never.
But like Michelle said at the beginning, we really love doing this, and what we're trying to do is have like just kind of normal conversations um, about wellness and what that can look like. And with our talks, I was saying this after last one, Michelle,
Yep.
is we're not trying to tell people what to do and how to think and all that. That's just not our goal. Michelle and I have had enough experience in like life, and I'm sure we all have. And we have a platform, so we both are involved with different parts of wellness, and so yeah, and we appreciate your comments if it's on live or if it's recording. Like, uh, we're not just looking at like us doing this. We're doing this, but we do love and appreciate your feedback and your questions and thoughts. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
right,
And yeah, and I think if I can add to
right.
that, Tom and I both, and this is just by design, it just worked out this way. We both have, and I don't know another way to say it, so feel free to jump in, but we have a need to serve other people. Like it's just our nature, right? So
Yep.
having the knowledge, just for an example, that we have from life experience, training, whatever that comes from, it seems it's just not in our makeup not to share that, not to be like, hey, somebody's struggling, how can I help? What can I
Right.
share from my own experience? It might not align 1,000%, but at the same time, if you can get one little nugget of information, something I learned the hard way that might save you some of the pain or whatever, then that's what we're all about. And I think, the person that I bring to the screen every Wednesday night, especially my members, my friends, my family will all know I'm that same person all the time. I might curse a little bit more off the screen, but I mean, I walk the walk and I talk the talk, and that's very important to me. That's integrity.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think and make a note of that. About if you can write down a note, I could probably do it, but I'm older, so if you could do it, I'd appreciate it. But the note is what you said like a few minutes ago. You said this sense of need or identity. I'm going to say, and that doesn't mean a bad thing. In on giving on this thing about giving out, because what we're going to talk about. My sister put about, have you read the five love languages? Yes, that's another good tool. The thing we want to talk about today is reset. And we left a little caveat at last video. I think I put something on the group. I also share pretty funny stuff on the group. I think I sent something funny today. I don't remember what it was, but I don't know. There's something about funny memes or gifs or reels, whatever they're called, that are actually an important part of my day. And not that I do it every day, but even my wife and I will share like through Messenger all these cat, like just because we're cat people, crazy cat stuff, right? But reset. So now I'm gonna flip the script to you asking me the questions at the beginning. So I'm gonna ask you questions, and look at her. What? I don't have a taser. I'm not gonna tase you, but
My
I want
internet's
you.
going down. Just kidding.
Yeah, nice try, nice try. It did do a blurb of go,
Oh,
but I'm gonna just I want to use you, Michelle, and then you're gonna do like second person, third person.
okay,
You're gonna represent the group. So I'm gonna ask questions about it to you.
sure.
What does reset mean?
Okay,
So we're gonna do it that way, and then you get to wear two hats. I'm gonna ask some questions, and
okay,
then you and me will kind of dialogue, and then if people put anything else there, we'll talk about it too, right?
okay.
And our goal is, everybody knows, we'll try to be done by 6. Just give people kind of an idea, respect,
Yep,
people time to get kids to bed or themselves to bed, and time for people out west to get dinner.
sure.
So, Michelle, when we finished last week, remember what we talked about last week?
Kindness.
There you go. Thank you.
To look.
You know what's funny, Michelle? I saw you look, but as soon as you look, you knew, right?
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
And as soon as you looked, I kind of remember going, yes. Yeah. So and then we talk about reset. So Michelle and I talked we usually talk a little bit after, just kind of just talk about how it went.
Yep,
But we were talking about resetting ourselves, and it could be mentally and emotionally and physically, and it could be spiritually, it could be emotionally,
financially.
financially. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and so here's the question. So when I say the word reset, just that phrase reset, what does that mean to you? What comes to mind when I say that?
First thing that comes to mind for me is starting over.
Now, when you think starting over, is that a positive or a negative for you?
No, I think of it like a positive, like shaking it. This is my age, shaking an Etso sketch. Remember those? And just fresh start, clean slate, without, and this could just be like me as well, without being held back from whatever happened yesterday, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Right.
So if we use the word reset in kind of the framework we're talking about, is that more of a kind of a current thing, like now, or when I say the word reset, do you think of something like 1 year, 2, 5, 10, 20 years, like resetting?
No, I think about today getting back to the basics, like foundational, keeping it simple.
Right.
Because I think sometimes we get too ahead of the game, or we make our goals unachievable, or the bar's too high. That's why we end up, a slip turns into a slide, and now we're looking at a reset.
Right.
Right.
And reset, which we'll talk about later. Reset isn't rehab.
Right.
Rehab is doing a reset. That's the slide, right?
Right.
Okay, I need rehab. I need to kind of find a shutdown, right? A reboot for our computer, so to speak, right?
Exactly.
But so for you, and again, I'm talking to you as a bit of a representative of our group. Do you mentally over process or under process? Do you think a lot about stuff, or do you think, I know it depends what stuff, right?
So
You're an overthinker.
yeah, so oh yeah, it depends on the thing. I would have to lean towards, I'm a bit of an overthinker, but I put a lot of effort and intention into stopping that. So if I didn't, like Michelle from years ago, the old Michelle, definitely an overthinker, it would keep me up all night, wake me up in the middle of the night sometimes, where now I have some different tools and tricks I use to shut that down. But I'm still human. I have my moments.
Yeah, and I love that, because the thing, there's a really important thing, and it's probably a lot of like what Michelle does for work and kind of what I do. It's funny, I work in the coffee industry, right? And these principles, and sometimes people call it about being successful. You can use that if it's a business kind of mindset, but it's really, my word for the last little while has been being healthy, right? And
Yeah.
it really comes down to a mindset. And and one of the challenges before we hit the rehab,
Yeah.
which we probably some hit different ways. What happens is as you get, not in every case, so say that as we get older, we become incredibly familiar with thought patterns, become
That's
like,
right.
until something shifts us, it doesn't be a horrible thing. It's not, it doesn't have to be rehab. It
Yeah.
might be rehab, but all of a sudden there's a shift, or my word for the last little month, I guess, has been pivot. Something happens where all of a sudden we have we realize that we have the strength and or maybe the determination to do something different.
Mm,
And there's that lovely saying that we all know that if you keep doing the same things, like, you shouldn't expect different results, right?
right.
And so it's got to do with eating and all the stuff. So the idea of reset. So when you talked about overthinking, and I'll tell you the two things that I realize and I see in the stuff that I'm involved with. It not copy. Um, we we can overthink, and overthink can lead to an anxiety and depression. And anxiety is really worrying about something that really hasn't happened. And I'm not downplaying it, but I'm just speaking. We got, oh no, like if I go drive today, like maybe there's going to be bad drivers, or if I eat two bananas, like all of, there's gazillion things, right? And so we live in that world to whatever degree. And then what we do is we actually shut down. And sometimes we shut down, our body and our brain shuts us down out of necessity.
Yeah. It's just too
It's
much.
just, it's too much. We have breakdowns. We go through whatever. Even if you think in Michelle's world, and we'll talk about it before about with physical health and eating and stuff, it's very easy to stress or whatever happened, and then all of a sudden you have a binge. And me and Michelle talked about this a little while ago. You know, I'm trying to lose more weight. I've lost, I think, to Michelle, 35 pounds. I need to lose another 50 to get the surgery I want, right? But I'll
Woo!
eat I'll eat yeah, I have my imaginary one. But if I would ever, long day, tough day, and I said, oh crap, I'm just going to go through A&W or whatever, right? And it's not into my plan.
Yeah.
The quick reset is to not live in like guilt or shame and these internal things. It's really say, you know what? And we don't, or eat a whole pizza instead of a piece or two. We've all done it. Bag of chips, right?
Totally.
That's the physical part. But with mentally and emotionally, which affects physically, it's the same thing. It's this thing of learning who you are, which you said, you talked about who you were. Learn who you are. Be able to look in the mirror and not be afraid and ashamed of who you are.
Right.
Um, you might have said this one of the first times we did this, or just me and you talking, is you sharing about your journey, about like what you do, is until you value yourself enough and realize, say, you know what, I'm not going to be scared. Like, I have to have honest reality of who I am, not negative, by the way,
Yeah.
in order to move forward.
That's right.
I'll use with weight. I don't have to say I'm obese and do all this stuff. You don't have to do that. That's wrong. But you can say, you know what, my body needs help, and I'm going to do the work needed to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly right. And I think to tie into that is that kindness we talked about last week, extending itself to to yourself this week. And realizing it's so interesting. So as a wellness coach, I go through social media um and I look at all the different, I just saw one earlier today, and it was talking about dealing with stress, some healthy habits, and then the last thing it suggests is um, eating a tub of chocolate mint ice cream. Like, these are things that are in our society, right? So you've got that you need to give yourself kindness about. You've got the fact that marketers like KFC, they have built into their rooftop how they have the smell come out into the community. That's to give yourself kindness. You fell for it, and then not, it's interesting, people will say, well, I had a cheat day. There's no, what are you cheating on? It's an indulgent day. You
Yeah.
indulge, life goes on. How we were raised is a big part of it too. So I think in those moments like you're talking about, to get through those emotions, it's okay to acknowledge we don't live in a world that's set up for healthy living, full stop. That's absolute reality. And then a lot of us, unhealthy habits growing up, having to sit at the dinner table until you ate all your food. That's a terrible habit because you're like you should just eat what you need and be able to throw the rest away guilt free. So all those programmings of you growing up in our environment are such a big thing when you're in that moment, when overindulge or whatever that looks like, just having that kindness to say, you know what, this is the scenario right now. I did the best I can. Now I'm going to reset and move on and do better. Right?
So I'm going to, as you said that, I love that. So good, right? I thought of the word ideology, and I thought, I don't use big words to, like, I'm not trying to be cool. I use a
You're
lot of
not
small words.
cool. It's
I'm
fine.
not that cool, right?
Yeah.
So I want to give you the definition of ideology because it actually speaks what you're saying, right? And then, by the way, too, Michelle and I, kind of our system here, we talk about something, and at the end, when we're done, when we're off live, we go, hey, why don't we talk about this next week? We don't have notes and notes and notes, just so you know. So we're freestyling. We're like doing the spoken word,
That's it.
which we're really speaking words. So it's pretty good.
Right.
Ideology, a system of ideas and ideals, especially ones which have been formed by the basic of an economic or political theory or policy. But it's this ideology. It's Michelle talked about, like, we grow up and we can't leave the dinner table until we're finished, and we would, in order to teach children the right way to go. And people have different thoughts, and so don't judge me. But back when I was a child, and I'm not even saying me, but the whole idea of don't spare the rod. So it was this whole idea of a discipleship, which came out of, you have to understand culture. You got to understand where that comes from.
Yeah.
So we're now in a world, and if you're honest with yourself, where we are bombarded with, it's not even partial truths. With technology and with media and with news and all this stuff, the news isn't about reporting like true news. It's actually about sometimes the adjectives that goes with the nouns. There's an underlying purpose with it. Look back in the States with elections and the power of, the different political groups, right? But I want to segue for that because I believe, I don't have any proof on this, but I believe to reset, to find these reset, reboot, I think it begins, like, to do something physically or to do these things. It actually becomes a discipline, but it almost comes out of an emotional mental state.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think emotionally, unless you've got like a really good practice down, like one of the best ways to reset is doing quiet time or doing meditation or whatever different things you're doing, kind of just shutting down sensory, everything going on. Close your eyes, feel your breath, think of your breath. There's a thing I do with counseling, a collarbone technique, which is basically just another way about get away distractions, right? And we live in an over sensory world.
Yeah.
Right. You can be really good, having a great day, and then somebody does something and takes too long at Timmy's or cuts you, like, could be valid, I guess. And we go from 0 to 10 and trigger with frustration and anger.
That's right.
And then I go like, why am I doing that? I'm not an angry person. Why does that make me so mad?
Well, and you're giving them your power. So
We talked before, yeah.
Right? Like that's the thing. You already think the guy's a jerk. He's a very powerful jerk now because it's amazing. You can go, 0 to 10 so quick. It takes you a lot longer to get back down to 0.
Yeah. One thing that Michelle said when we talked about this in one of the other lives is that we don't know. It's not making an excuse for bad behavior, by the way, or bad driving. That,
Oh, no,
but we don't know. We actually are not even constantly thinking about anything that's going on in that person. I'm going to tell a quick story, Michelle. When I was a kid, as a teenager, 14, something like that, Toronto, and we had a friend who was 16 who had a red Cameo, and he's 17. He's older, was cooler, right? But he drove us everywhere, and I used to make money illegally. It's legal now. That's no, but I used to. So this friend of ours' name was Mike, and Mike had this red car, license plate, whatever, like whatever we knew, right? So all of a sudden, we're walking to school, and I was in high school time, and we see just before the school, I had to walk like 20 minutes. We see this red car that's been in an accident, and outside of the red car, like a bad accident, there's a blanket, a white sheet over somebody, and we're panicking. We're going, what's going on, right? So this has got to do with not knowing what's going on and people making an assumption through one event, right? So we're like telling people, we didn't have texting back there. So if we phone people as a phone booth, we didn't do that. But at school, we're talking about it, right? And then I knew this person, he was in kind of a bigger friendship group. So we phoned the family after school and we go, oh, like I knew his mom and dad a bit, right? And I said, oh, we're so sorry. And they go, like, what are you sorry about? And I go, like, we saw the accident. It was so sad. We're sorry, right? And they go, I said, so sorry that John died or something like that. And they said, John didn't die. Somebody stole his car and got in an accident.
Oh, geez.
So perceptionally, perspective, perception, remember?
I do.
One day. But we have to, I think it's important to apply that for ourselves. So what happens is we, trust me, there's enough, you can be bulletproof. Michelle's one of the nicest people I know. I don't know a lot of people. No, I know lots of people.
Yeah, I was waiting.
But Michelle can have good and bad days like the rest of us. And we give, like Michelle mentioned, we give out to people. And sometimes we feel like it's draining. And in that, so I'm actually staring back to you about resetting. So we talked a lot about different things about being emotionally charged by, you come bad day at work. This is kind of a man metaphor. Come home and you yell at the kids and the wife and you kick the dog, who had nothing to do with your bad day.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
But the one thing that Michelle said even in this place of giving out good or understanding if you're frustrated, like this, to me, I look in my bathroom mirror often to remind myself. I just don't look in the mirror to go, do I look good? I look and go, I remind myself, you know what? I am incredibly made. I'm important.
Yeah.
I'm important to do the work. So like Michelle said, if you're on the side of being kind and giving of yourself abundantly, because that's what we do, and like doesn't mean we're special. Well, we are special, but it doesn't mean like we're better than anybody else, right? We have to become aware of our own personal well-being and needs.
Right.
Because sometimes we were talking earlier about we need to shut everything down, say, hey, Al is her spouse, not mine. No, we need to go Al. Or the family, like I just give me 5 minutes, just give me 20 minutes. I just need some quiet time.
Yeah, exactly.
And because life is so busy and we're so tired and we get home and we eat and we watch TV and we go to bed, we forget that. And so part of what we'll do now, so there's ask us a lot of questions would be great, but part of now, Michelle, so now I'm going back to questioning you, what are some things that you think are helpful to help us reset anyway? Mentally, emotionally, physically?
Yeah, so I'm a meditator. That helps me. I use guided meditations through YouTube. I do have I'll share it on the group. I keep forgetting. I have a Facebook group, Meditations with Michelle. They're all through YouTube. They're all guided. Don't be fooled that I can sit and just turn the chatter off. I need a story or something. So that's one of the things I do. One of the other things I really try to do is I I look at myself analytically. So I try to be my own research and development department. When I used to work at this other job in the Chemical Valley, and we made a product. And one of the things that was my job, I did like inventory and invoicing and stuff, but we used to, so it was insulation. So we'd make the insulation, but then at the end of every 24-hour period, we would input everything that went into the insulation. And then if anything was wrong with it, then we would fix the variables. It was rock wool. So did we add too much of one kind of rock, or was the temperature different, or whatever? And when you're talking about pivoting moments, I call those aha moments. And it was, I think, in a workshop I was coaching where I had an aha moment. I'm the product. It's really not a lot of different than the logistics we did at that plant where we're mixing it up. So for me, when I need to reset, and I do from time to time, I certainly have my moments, whether it's mentally or whatever it is, I literally stop and I do exactly what you just said. I talk all day long. I have two jobs. I talk through both of them. And so I like on the weekends when I'm not working or my 2 days off, I leave the phone. I'm not interested. I do a couple things in the morning on my social media. I step away and then I have to do that self-reflecting. When things were going good and I was having the results I want, what was I doing? Why aren't I doing that now? What should I bring back? Like I get, so that's my analytical mind, but I have to do it when I'm in a cold state. If I'm hot and emotional and pissed off because I'm not achieving my goals or whatever that is, that's not the time. So I need to just chill out, relax, get in that good state, and then just start looking like, where do I want to be? Baby steps. How am I going to get? So it's that analytical mind, I think, and just sort of not that like I'm stepping out of my body because I'm not, but I'm looking at it that way because I've had success, as have you, all of you, in all the different areas of your life. You've had some success. So, what was the recipe at that point, and what's different?
Yeah. I'm analytical too. So I'm going to pivot my word again. If it annoys you, then tell me and whatever. I might stop. I don't know. I might not, but we'll figure it out. But
Pivot off.
but in my work that I do, here's kind of learning about me, right?
Yeah.
In my work, I'm a territory manager. So my job is to manage effectively customers, mostly in BC, but I have some national accounts, and to make sure they're okay and to bring on new business. And so because I'm very familiar with the food industry, I always have this thing about overcoming objections, right?
Yeah.
And so and in the coffee industry, there's lots of good coffee roasters and all over the world probably, but in BC where I am in the lower mainland. And so I never try to manipulate anybody. I don't like that. I would never want that as an ex-owner. But
Yeah.
so I live that mindset. In my counseling world, where I spend time counseling people, and this isn't. This is a. I'm trying to do this respectfully. Um, if you ever need help, like out there, I have people that they need support and counseling, and out here in BC, anyways, with professional psychologists, like $250 a month, I can't afford it. So if there's anything that me and Michelle could help with, like you're never going to go wrong asking us questions. So just putting that out there, right?
Yeah.
Now, because I'm a problem solver by nature, when I'm working with people, I make sure that's not, because I want to bend there. I want to problem solve.
Yeah.
With myself. I want to problem solve. And the challenge for me when I apply that, because it doesn't work at everything, then I can tentatively be harder on myself when I don't reach the expected
Yeah,
goal. Right?
for sure.
Remember, look in the mirror, know yourself. So my sister, I won't name her. She might still be in the chat, but me and Michelle have a sister that manages a group of buildings out here in BC, and she is an incredibly kind and good-natured person, and she's wonderful. She's like Michelle. She's not. She just oozes kindness, right? And for her, so I'm giving her medication, verbal medications. We're talking, but for her, the amount of expectation on her job, she's doing a job for a person and a half, managing all these buildings, showing events, all this stuff, right? And she's incredibly responsible. But she'll know now, and if you want to type something in there, you can, sister. and share your thoughts. But all of a sudden, what unfortunately we do in this culture is we we become respondent. We don't become proactive. We go, holy crap,
Yeah.
I'm done. I need a quiet room. I need a smoke, a drink, and the crazy hat, the little
Right.
paper hat, right? And so Michelle was saying about some of the things that she does. So here's the thing I want to throw out, and we can discuss it a bit. Is learning to reset, learning to create. Somebody put about habits. Um, like understanding you can change the way you think
Yeah.
of self and respond. Like we have that power, right?
Yeah.
But you first make the decision to be able to look in the mirror and go, you know what, I'm worth it, and I want to be emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, financially. I want to be the best that I can be,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so for me, being transparent again, for me, struggling with cancer, I'm 63, cancer free right now. My body's been traumatized. I had my hip replaced. I had 5 surgeries, right? It took me to a serious depression to realize how traumatized my body was.
Mm.
And because I'm going to fix it, I'm going to solve, right? And the other thing too, for those, we all have different things that are a spiritual way of how we navigate our lives, right? And sometimes, if you're in a place of just my opinion, I can get in trouble for this. I don't care. Well, I care about you, but I don't care. Like people, right? But we have to be careful that like praying and doing all these things, meditation, all things are really good. But if you need a doctor, you need a doctor.
Gosh,
If you need
absolutely.
if you need a mental support, I saw a lot in churches and with great intention, trying to through a scriptural way to help people that need to talk to professional people.
Right.
Um, I did a lot of work with men with working through addiction,
Mm.
and it was faith based. But the sometimes the way, and this is one reason I left, but sometimes the way they wanted to help was to keep them preoccupied. And I'm just going to tell you that's going to lead you to burnout, or some of these guys. I have some of these guys that have in the last 3 years have OD'd and done like they're dead, right?
Yeah.
So we have to understand if my emotions need a break, I need to give myself a break.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
it could be sitting outside. I mean, I know that's harder for you, but it could be looking out a window. It could be, we are joking about start your day. I'm a coffee drinker in the morning. This is what I do. Start the day with like a glass of lemon water. There's something about lemon, the way it kind of sets up your digestive tract. What are some other things that you think are good to start with resetting, Michelle?
So, if I can just circle back to a little bit of what you were just saying, I think part of what the problem is too, especially tying in with the resetting, is we live in a world where we get so many instant results. And
Right.
so I think, being able to look ahead and realize it might be a long journey, and that's okay though, because damn it, I'm worth it, right? I'm worth the work to get to where I want to be. So I think that's really a big part of it. I like your idea of just being in the present moment. So, like here, it's +3 right now, but it's been really balmy warm this week. So yeah, sitting by the window, getting out on the picnic table, um, making friends with the squirrels and the birds, tuning into nature, going for a walk with or without headphones. Because with headphones is good because you're getting your jam on or you're listening to a book or whatever. But when you walk without the headphones, you can notice things you've never noticed. You can hear the birds, you can notice, aren't those squirrels fast? Or, imagine what you think their boyfriend, girlfriend, brother, sister, whatever, right? Like it's like people watching. You can just sort of have your own little creative adventure. It's like, oh shoot, I can't remember what it's called, but there is, I forget what they called it, but there was a trend going about a month or so ago. And if anybody in the chat remembers seeing it, it was walking Walking outside alone quietly, which we call real life, but to a lot of younger people, that was a really big thing. They were tuning into the to nature for the first time. And I watched a video and it was a girl, she'd literally never done it. She'd always been walking with her headset on, listening to music, talking to friends, or getting from one destination to another very quickly using auto, right? So I thought that was really interesting. So I think that like realizing there's so many things that you can't control, especially if you're overwhelmed, then just reining it in. And I like the example that you gave about the phone. I mean, if ever you have to call tech support, what do they say? Turn your phone off, let it sit, right? Or you take the app off and then you put it back on. As
Yeah.
humans, we need to do that too.
It's interesting. I want to show people because I'm watching the video here and I notice it's a 10-second lag from live, but I want to
Yeah.
show you because people are going like, what's that about keep turning away? It's kind of weird. Anyways, I'm looking at the chat.
I thought there was a hockey game on again.
No, that would be that way. That would be by
Oh,
the camera. I'm smart, right? But
there's
so here's a couple of things to think about, right? This is for our group. If and I'm a cook or chef, right? And I'm going to use a baking example. I could bake, but I'm not a baker, right? But here's the thing: if we restack so we think a reset is doing life in a different order.
yeah.
Same result. So I'm going to use for an example for those that bake. If you make a cake, and for those that are better bakers than me, you need flour, eggs. It can be water, milk, but you need baking soda and baking powder, right? If you put one tablespoon of flour and 2 cups of baking soda, it doesn't. You're a baker, right? No,
I'm so not a baker, but
that's why I was teasing you. But it doesn't matter in what order you put that into the bowl to mix it. It's wrong, right?
right.
So the question is, again, look in the mirror, pivot, look in the mirror and go like, what it's almost like self-visualizing, like, where do I want to go? What do I want to be in a year? And it could be in physical, financial, spiritual. And you have to have a goal, an attainable goal. So how do you reach it? So in it, you've got to find something to do different. And it could be something as silly as after your morning coffee, because that's important, or brush your teeth, whatever you do, is before you got to head out, go to work, take 5 minutes, don't look at your phone, do whatever, and just focus on yourself.
Yeah.
And again, how you do it in the day, that doesn't matter. Like I think it's a helpful tool in the morning. And my wife actually at work, because she's not a fan of the concrete jungle, she gets in hikes as much as she can.
Yeah.
But she works for the government for probation in our downtown small town. And so on her breaks, she has to walk outside, even though it's buildings and that's not nature, but she has to get out of the building, right? So she's recognized who she is. Yeah. But here's a little challenge for you to, and you can throw in some comments or your ideas. One of the things, we're in a world where our sensors are overstimulated, right?
Yeah.
So look up. So this is a freebie. I'm not going to give you an answer. Not for you, Michelle. You too, but the group. We've got like lots of people. 11 people watch. Woohoo! And then whatever happens later. But we're it's kind of the incredibleness of our brain and creativity and design, the way we just do things. But that can be what can be a positive, can be a negative. That yin yang thing, right? Yeah. So all of a sudden, world feels like it's speeding up and faster and faster and faster, right? So here's one of the incredible. So we're overstimulated on caffeine, which I sell, right? On technology and that. So here's it. So we're over. Our sensories are overloaded. So here's a funny thing to try. Do this whenever and give some feedback when you do this. Put yourself in a place. Outside would be great if there's a park or something. You don't have to do that. It could be even your car.
Yep.
And close your eyes and be quiet for a couple minutes. So your visual sensor is off. And so do it. Give some feedback of what happened when you did it and where you did it, because it'd be good to have feedback. you'll find, and this is a story like of people like Helen Keller and other people that have had what we call disabilities. All of a sudden, their other sensors pick up.
That's right.
Right.
Yep.
So I challenge you, the group, and I'll do it too, is to find a place at a time. Doesn't be every day, it could be, but find a place where you're now focused on. And part of the best way of doing it, as I close my eyes, is, close your eyes, you're by yourself, so you're not talking. And I always put my hand on my chest. I like to feel my heartbeat. Some people acknowledge, there's something about acknowledging self, and Michelle said this a while ago, to me at least, about how insanely overwhelming is the way our body has been designed to work. It's just beyond whatever, right? But as I'm talking, but I'm listening now, I can hear the fan I have on. If you're outside, you can now hear maybe birds, and maybe you hear the leaves rustling in the wind. And maybe if you're in a park in the city, down the street, you hear a child laughing. And it's such an interesting thing to allow your other senses to become a little bit more activated. We're not overstimulating, we're actually allowing them to work in a different way.
Right.
And it is actually component of meditation, which you talked about. We talked, but there's this thing about self-awareness, which is good. Then there's a thing about awareness, but not awareness with all the lights and all the noise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Horton, here's a who. Some movies just blow my mind. They speak these universal truths to me.
Yeah.
Horton, here's a who. If you got kids or grandkids, you probably have seen the cartoon, Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
And Horton is kind of just having fun, just crazy elephant. And he hears something. He's acutely aware that nobody else can hear something on this little flower he's carrying. And if you haven't watched the movie, you just go watch it. I don't think, right? But there's something when we take the time to listen that's incredibly powerful. Listen to ourselves. Listen to what yourself is saying to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds crazy, but it's not.
No, it's so true. And I think using that as an example goes back to perception or perspective.
Right.
But you're
We're going to
so
speak
right.
on it one day.
That's right. They say we're exposed to a minimum of 2,000 ads a day. Think about that. That's
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, no, I totally agree. A good activity while you're just relaxing, if you're focusing on your breathing as a distraction to your thoughts, is called box breathing, where you breathe in for 4, hold for 4, release for 4, wait for 4. And you can think about literally it being a box. And that's a good distraction to help you just get to that place where you do start hearing, right? A lawnmower, a motorcycle, whatever that is. So, no, I think that's absolutely a fabulous idea. And one of the beauties is you can do it everywhere. When I first started getting into well, I've gone in dips and waves, right? As far as being a daily meditator, I'm in a dip right now. But that's a great activity for like when you're sitting in the dentist office, especially if that gives you anxiety. That's where I started using it more as a resource than just as an activity that gives me joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's the thing I was going to say. Don't, like, we're all in different mindsets and through our own personal experience or what we've been told. Remember, I mentioned ideology earlier, right? I want to encourage you. I'm not, there's no agenda in saying this, but sometimes we become fearful of what, I'm not even gonna say the unknown, of what we don't know or we've been programmed or told or whatever. Like, as children, I don't know if they still do it, but back in the day, I'm sure some people do it. Okay, don't get out of bed, Billy. There's a monster under your bed. So Billy grows up thinking there's a monster in his bed, right? And so I'm going to throw out a funny, I like useless information. Michelle does the quotes. And she probably has a quote. Useless. Do you know why when somebody sneezes, they say bless you?
No.
If you know in the chat, I'll let you throw it in. I'll give you 1 minute. No, I'm not giving you a minute. You can throw it in. I believe it's medieval times. I think a lot of these superstitions started in England. And when you sneezed, your heart they would say, when you sneeze, your heart stopped. And they
Oh,
would bless you so evil spirits wouldn't enter into you.
ooh.
Can you sneeze? Come on. No, no. it's it's interesting.
That
And
is.
it's not, isn't that interesting? It's interesting. You don't throw everything out, but um, I have this saying, I might get a tattoo of it. I'm not scared of tattoos. There's my grandkids in my arm. I love it. Anyways, I have one tattoo and it was a cover up. But I have this saying that say, you know what you know and you don't know what you don't know. I'm going to add a caveat. Don't be fearful of what you don't know.
Right.
We know people, we in general know people. I know people that are seniors that have gone back to university.
Oh, for sure.
I know people. I was talking to this young man the other day about 20-year-old going to engineering, and I said, "I'm going to give you some good news." They're saying now that your age, before you retire, that you may change your vocation, like what you do for work, 3 or 4 times.
That's right.
So, and this was a university professor who says, just because you go and take this university, you're not stuck in this lane. So it's important to realize, like, all I would say now is, if you're wrestling with anxiety or trauma, or like we probably all have some sort of trauma, but depression or shame, you beat yourself up because
Whatever.
anything you do, you measure yourself against Hollywood or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I just want to encourage you to take a breath, and could be tonight or tomorrow. Right. Another thing that's really helpful: write down your thoughts.
Yeah.
Back in the day, journaling. And if you don't do it, it's fine. But there's a thing about kind of knowing yourself. So there's a thing about, we all need some type of reset, and I believe we need resets daily, or maybe it's not every day as a religion, but it's just we reset our body resets after we sleep.
Mm,
While we're sleeping, the body resets, right? So
that's
we
right.
need to, in a world where especially our mind is overly stimulated, and our eyes too, we need to find places of reset. That's why meditation, closing your eyes, is good, just to block things out. And meditation is breathing techniques and finding these. And there's so many meditation things online. And don't get all weird about meditation. Meditation's fine. It's not like some weird evil thing. Some people, oh, well, I know some people, oh, meditation is evil, from like the devil. Well, no, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Mm. Try it.
Bless you. And then I go, bless you. But anyways, any final thoughts before you quote?
Yeah, I'm ready for my quote, actually. I have it right in front of me. I'm going to also share it on the page. Reset, restart, refocus as many times as you need to. It's not just a one-time thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's the freebie caveat. Michele and I, the reason we're doing this, we're not going to be famous. We're not going to beat Joe Rogan as podcast king of the world, right?
No.
And I believe this with all of us, and we could be in different seasons. In humanity, we all have the ability to be kind to each other and to encourage and help each other. I think it's the way we were created, the way we're meant to be, right?
Yeah.
It's a whole, like, raising a child takes a village language and stuff, right? But Michele and I are by no means perfect. We're on a journey, right? We're learning. We're getting older, but we're still learning, right?
Yeah.
And we're doing this to encourage and help you. And I want you to know, whatever season you're in, if you're wrestling some really tough stuff,
Yep.
you're going to be an influencer of people. We don't influence people because we're perfect. We influence people because we're authentic.
Yes.
And the best of our ability, in a safe way, we're transparent.
Yeah. I love
And I want to encourage you, like, we care about you. And Michele knows her people. I know my people, but I'm getting to know her people. She's getting to know my people.
Yeah.
And we both know our sister, which is awesome, which is really good, right?
Yeah.
You know, please, we say this every time, reach out,
Yeah.
right? Reach out to us. Invite people. If you're not sure if they want to be part of the group, tell them about YouTube where they can watch the videos? Because I'm sure it'll help. What's the YouTube? How do they find it on YouTube, Michelle? I know how, but I just want you to tell
No,
them.
that's okay. No, it's exactly the same name as the page. So mental wellness for life without a space between the for and the life. And if I can add on to what you were just saying, don't be afraid to ask us questions either, whether it's privately or publicly. So if you have a suggestion for a topic and maybe you don't want to put it out on the page, send Tom or I a private message if you're not already our friend. Click on her name, you'll be able to message us. The other thing is, if you even have some questions for us about us, right? Like, I mean, for the most part, we're an open book. So if you just are curious about things, or I don't know, but
Yeah.
I think for both of us, this is like this group, like we're letting everybody in, and you're like our family. I don't know how to explain it. I call some of my groups my good vibe tribe. I feel good when I interact with them. I'm true and authentic. They're true and authentic. I feel like we've recreated that here. It's some of the same people, some different, some new. So I just want you to know, and I was thinking about that earlier in the week as well. We get talking, you and I, and it is a different format, just keeping one eye on the chat. But if you want to reach out to us like on a one-on-one, whether it's something we could bring up in the group, but we wouldn't mention your name, right, without
Yep.
your permission. So, of course, confidentiality, but it might be something that we have input on, or full disclaimer, we don't have all the answers to everything. Maybe you have a question, we don't know, we can find out. Maybe we could bring it back to the group. What does everybody think about whatever? So just remember that, like, even though you're not on the screen as well, we're watching the chat and we're watching the group through the week. So, feel free to connect with us. And of course, you all as human beings have had your own journey and experiences. Feel free to share. This is what worked with me. This is what didn't. This is what I struggled with, right? So it's group input as well.
Michelle, on the page, before we go here, is there a way, I don't want to lose the page here, is there a way to message, like on Facebook group, is there a way to message us on mental wellness for life that you and me will both get it because we're both admin?
I'll have to look and see if I can flip a toggle. And if my friend Florence is watching, she's very good at that stuff. We'll see if we can figure it out. That would
See
be
if Florence will help you, because you and me as admins, I don't think we can because we got special powers.
maybe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, so it's been great. Thanks everybody who's tuned in with us. Don't forget, next week, same time, same channel, we will be back again. And don't forget how incredibly awesome you are. You've survived up to this point in your life. You're going to survive another day and celebrate
At,
yourself.
at least.
That, well, you might not if you keep it up that way, but everybody else is going to.
Okay. We'll see
All
you
right.
guys. Thank
Take
you.
care, everybody.
Bye.